Sending, receiving, and working with stems is one skill you'll need to develop to work in the audio world at any capacity. When I receive stems from clients that look like this, or this, or this, my immediate impression is that they're either unprofessional or naive to the industry standards. Today we're going to learn how to export stems out of whatever DAW you're using, and the first few things you should do when receiving stems. Hey guys, Evan here with Mixed Philosophy, and today's subject is near and dear to my heart, simply because when I receive stems that are neat and organized, it warms my sound engineer heart. It makes my job of mixing your song a lot easier and gives me more time to mix and less time to organize your files. Go ahead and send this video to a client if they send you dumpster fire stems. I'm about to give a short explanation of what stems are. If you want to just skip to a specific DAW and how to export from it, use the timeline below. We'll be going over Ableton, FL, Logic, and Pro Tools. Stems are individual exports of every track in your session. Nowadays, when people ask for stems, what they really mean is multi-tracks, but like many things, it means a completely different thing than it did 20 years ago. A set of stems will represent a whole song, so it is required that they all have the same start time. Meaning, if you drag all the stems into your DAW, it should represent the same song with the same timing as the DAW it was exported out of. Beyond technical requirements, there are some quality of life things you should take into consideration when exporting stems. They should be labeled concisely and accurately. So your bass take should say bass instead of bass.04_take4. All redundant files, such as master files or sends, should be removed. FL and Ableton are the main culprits of producing a lot of unnecessary files. This makes mixing engineers very unhappy. If I can get to mixing your song quicker, it's going to be a better mix, trust me. To recap, they should all have the same length, concise and accurate titles, and have at least a little bit of headroom. This means at the very least not clipping. Let's take a look in all the major DAWs to see how we can export stems and send them effectively. So jumping into our first DAW here, we're going to learn how to export stems out of Pro Tools. Now I mentioned earlier that all your files need to have the same start point. If we zoom in on this session here, we can see that there's A, not all the same start point, they all have slight variations, and B, there's some chops here. Because of this, if you exported stems at this point, they would have mismatched start points and would not accurately represent the song in another DAW. To fix this, we're going to consolidate the files. Consolidation is a primary feature of most DAWs and is an audio file basic. Essentially, it's just highlighting an area and telling your DAW to make that into one audio file. Let's demonstrate by selecting everything here and pressing Option-Shift-3 on Pro Tools. As you can see from our little rendering bar there, we have now 6 solid files with no hiccups and all the same start points. Now that we need to export all of these files individually, we're going to hit Command-Shift-K, and this is Pro Tools only, and see our export selected screen here. We can choose a directory. I'll just go to Documents for now. Make a new folder. Let's call it Jazz. It'll be deleted anyway. Click Open here, make sure all our settings are right, and click Export. As we can see, each file is individually being processed and put into that folder. So let's open up our Finder here, go to Documents, and here's our folder from Pro Tools, and we have all the files right here. They all have the same file size, so I know that they're the exact same length, and will match perfectly in any DAW we put it in. Let's take these exact stems, put it in Logic, and see how the export works there. So now we're in Logic. I've dragged the stems that I just made in Pro Tools into here. And with Logic, it's pretty straightforward. We're going to go up here to File, Export, and we're going to press All Tracks as audio files. Again, we're going to make sure all of our settings here are what they need to be. Typically, you'd be sending stems to a mix engineer without your plugins and without your automation, as you're paying us to do that, so we're going to take those off. For normalize, we're going to do off so that it leaves whatever headroom you may have in there. If you're producing way too loud, you can leave overload protection on, but go ahead and leave it off. We're going to leave this custom file name empty for now. Make this a little bigger so we can choose. Let's go back to Documents, into Jazz, Let's make a new folder so it doesn't get messy. Logic export. And click export. See it run through here. Now over here in our Finder menu, in our Logic export folder, we see that all the stems are here. Worked like a charm, and it's a little bit more straightforward than Pro Tools. Let's take a look at FL Studios. So now we made it to FL. One interesting thing about FL is that you have your arrangement section here, and you have your mixer section. When you export stems out of FL, it'll look at your mixer and export each individual track. Although, if nothing in your arrangement section is linked to the mixer, nothing will be exported. The way we do that is run over here to our channel rack and assign them here. So we can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. The easiest way to do this is select all these bars right here so that they're all green. You can just hold it down. Go to our first insert and hit Command-Shift-L. That will automatically cascade all of our channels to our mixer. Once everything's linked to your mixer, we can go to File, Export, and Wave. Go ahead and name it Jazz. And the key thing here is to split mixer tracks. This is the most important part. If you don't do this, it'll just export the master. Click this, make sure your settings are right, same as last time, and let's start it. Alright, so we're back in Finder in our FL Studio directory here. Now, as you can see, everything gets labeled very poorly. If you dragged all of these in your session, you'd have to do quite a bit of work to figure out what's actually going on. It exports 2 completely superfluous files named current and master. Master is just your stereo master right here, so the whole song, and current is the one you have selected. So if I had snare selected or sax selected, it would export another one of those. Again, completely superfluous, and you can delete these. Anytime I get stems from FL Studios, I know it. Let's take a look at Ableton. Alright, so now we're in a fresh 90-day trial of Ableton Live 10. And we've dragged in our stems, looking good. To export stems, we're going to go to File, Export Audio Video. We're going to go to Rendered Track, change it to all individual tracks. Going to make sure we have Wave, 24-bit depth, or whatever settings you want. Generally recommend Wave for everything. Keep normalize off. I would highly, highly, highly suggest that you take Create Analysis File off. If you leave this on, and in fact I'm going to just to display what it does, it makes a 1-to-1 analysis file for every stem. So it doubles the amount of files in your folder, meaning when I get stems from Ableton users, it'll have 80 files in the stem package, and I use 40 of them. So we're going to click Export. Go to our directory here. And click Save.
Oh, pain. Oh, pain. Jake's editorial, that's pain.
Alright, so we've got our export from Ableton here, and yeah, dumpster fire. We have a duplicate ASD file for every stem, so I would suggest turning off Analyst file. We have a master file, which I don't need when sending stems, so we're going to delete all those. And on top of that, it has the project name before every stem. And now you see, now that we've made it this far into the process, going through all these DAWs, we see that these file names are very tough. If I have to go through and rename upwards of 12 files that have all of this, I'm not only deciphering what it actually is, meaning this would have to be a snare, I'm also doing that 40 times. So please change those file names to something a little bit more eligible. Based on the extra superfluous files, I'd say Ableton is my least favorite DAW to receive stems from. But due to the power of this video, you should be the ones to change that. That's all for today, guys. My name's Evan. I hope you extracted some valuable information from this video. Leave a comment if you have any questions, and we'll see you next time. Peace.